Hi everyone, welcome to another video. I am Laurent Macaire and today I'm going to show you my bullet journal. Bullet journal, if you don't know, is a system where you use a notebook as a calendar, as a to-do list, as a planner, as a journal, as a way to track things, as a way to do basically everything that you want. It's a very flexible system. You can doodle, you can do art, you can make it very functional. You just do what you want to do. I've been bullet journaling for I think 5 to 6 years now already, and the way I've been using it has also varied over the years, and even now I think for the past month now I've been in my adult having a job life. It has also changed yet again. I've been using this bullet journal since January 2000. And I thought I would flip through it a little bit with you because I use it now also partially for reading. So let's go! So this is the bullet journal that I currently use. It's a semicolon. It has a hardcover and I really like the color yellow. It's an A5 size and it has these bullets system that is often used in bullet journals because it allows you to write down things like this, but it also allows you to make these straight lines, and you can, let me see if I have a drawing for you. Don't have a drawing for you that I can show, but because they're not that big, it allows you to draw stuff if you want. So let's start with a quick flip through of the non-bookish things. So I have my cover page where I write down when it started and when I will finish it. I've been using this one for over 1.5 years now. And I've been using it a lot of spaces, these pages that I've stuck in that have either a motif or a color or something like that, and they are just very easy. They come from the Flow magazine. I don't know if you have that where you live. So I started 2020 with this overview of some goals that I had, but as you can imagine, with Corona a lot of things changed. And what I usually also do is that I have this overview for the 6 month at a time. So I have one from January to June, and then I have a second one later on in the notebook for July until December, where I have these monthly overviews of some important things coming up and some birthdays. And then I translate these when I come to a specific month. I put these in my monthly overviews that look like this oftentimes. So I use these motify papers that I stick in just so the month sticks out a little bit more, and then I have all of the days of the week, some important stuff coming, and I keep track of random things, although I have stopped doing this. And I also used to put in these trackers so I could find the monthly overviews, because what I used to do, because I had more plans, is then have these weekly overviews with the 7 days of the weeks like this, every time the same, and then some random to-dos over here, for example my sport plans, or sometimes I would put in a meal plan. Do I have an example of that? Yes, here apparently I was tracking how often I eat vegetarian. But now in the second half of the year that has changed. So there was a time where I had a week on one page because there wasn't that much that I was doing, and now I'm really only having these monthly overviews because when I have something it's just going to be just one thing a day. For the rest I'm working, so now I'm just having these monthly overviews, and they work very well. Although now that life is starting to start up again and there's more for planning that's going on. I mean, I now have to know what I'm going to do in 1 or 2 months time with sports, for example. I'm feeling the need for the overview that I showed you before with the 6 months at a time. One of the things that I keep track of in my bullet journal is how much sports I do. So I have these, they look like my 6 month at a time overview, but I have all of the days of the month, and then I write down how many kilometers I do and how. So this would be, on this day for example, I did 78 kilometers on my bike. And as you can see, we are now halfway through June, and I have not filled in what I did at the end of May and the first half of June yet. But it gives me a really nice overview of the total. So here I had a week where I did nothing. Who knows why? Oh wait, there was snow. But I like seeing everything in one place, and it gives me also a lot of satisfaction to write down all of this stuff. One spread that I oftentimes also have is an overview of the museums that I go to. As you can imagine, last year with Corona there wasn't a lot, so you have this break between March and September, and then after November there wasn't much left, but they have opened last week, so I'm hoping I can start seeing this a little bit more. I have really been missing museums, and the other big activity that I do is sports or competitions, and I also like to keep track of that as well. Keep track of what it is, for example. So here you would have seen a running race, a 10K, and I had subscribed. And here you would see a triathlon that I hadn't subscribed yet for, which was a good thing because it didn't happen. Actually, I'm going to subscribe to this one for this year because it is now open. I really like having this overview where I see all of the competitions because I tend to overplan, and that is not a good thing. Now let's go to the bookish things. What I used to do, so this is an overview that I had at the first half of last year, is that I just used to write down all of the books that I read, and then I had these little colory things. So this would be my overview for January until June. And I have a second one for the second half of the year. However, I never filled it in because that is when I started to keep track of things in my Excel sheet, and this became a little bit redundant. So despite me really liking making this thing, I'm not doing this anymore. And what I am doing now is that I'm keeping track on a more monthly TBR basis. So what I do is that I make a TBR every month, and then I color in the books when I've read them. So for example, here you can see that in January I hadn't read Stamped from the Beginning and the Mokioka Sisters, but I had finished it from the beginning here in February, and it also allowed me to write down some notes about what goal they were for. So here you have TBR for January, February, March, and April. Don't know why I didn't write these things down here. But for the second quarter, I decided for a slightly different system with less rules. So I have my guidelines over here. There's a lot of white space that I still need to do something with. I tried out this system for a while, but didn't work. So I'm back to making these overviews. So here you have my May TBR and my June TBR. And I'm kind of adding books when I've decided, oh, well, I'm reading this one as well. And then again, I'm coloring them in as I go. And I decide beforehand how the colors follow one another, because then, I don't know, it looks pretty. And if I have a book that I end up DNFing, I just make it black. And I also track, so I know which these books, for example, I read for Invisible Cities. Another page that I use often is this one, or this spread I should say. So on the left we have an overview of all of the books that I had on my TBR at the beginning of the year. So my pre-2020 TBR. And I'm coloring the books in as I go. I showed you this one recently when I did a book haul. And here I write down, I have these shelves per month, and I write down the books that I come in that month. Coming in is either buying or finding in a free library or a gift or something like that. And in this one, because it's a TBR, I'm not writing down the books that I have owned. So these are not all of the books that came in, which is why me making a book haul was a discovery of, wait, these are a lot more than this overview here. Hey, I now realize that I can color this one in. That is always nice. And my goal this month is to have nothing on this shelf, actually. So this is a spread that I come back to often. Now you might know that this year I'm participating in the Invisible Cities project, where I at least read one book for each of the 3 countries that are picked every month, or 2 countries as of August. And I am keeping track of what books I have read and their authors on this spread. I used to have a different spread, this one, where I also wrote down what I watched as a movie and the food. And I also wrote down the plans, but then I had to cross things out, and this wasn't working. There was too much white space, and I didn't really find a way to make this work except for just sticking to the books as I showed you in the other spread. The last bookish thing that I do, and I wanted to show you in my bullet journal, is I keep track of some of the bingos that I participate in. With my book club, we have been making bingos ever since quarantining started to happen. There's supposed to be a queue here. So I write down the prompts we based the book prompts on, the book prompts themselves, and then the book that I read. I really like that I did the whole of this one. We also have this one. This is, I think, the 4th already that we made, maybe the 3rd, was the Happy Lockdown Book Bingo, and we added a bonus that I haven't completed. And what I used to do at that point is that I would write my plans down on these sticky notes. But I think there is another hole in there somewhere of a thing that I haven't done yet. No, or is the poetry the only one that I'm supposed to do? And these last prompts were just too hard and I've kind of abandoned, but I'm not telling my book club. And then the last book bingo that I just made last week. And in this run I wrote down the plans in pencil because I've actually found my rubber, which was really helpful. So I'm looking forward to filling in this one as well. So that was my bullet journal flip through. I wonder if you keep a bullet journal or how you keep track of bookish things. Do you like to... I, as a book reader, love to hold books, and I also have a love for notebooks. I can imagine more people have that as well. And I have also, by the way, I'm reading Period Power right now by Maisie Hills, and one of the things that she says is a good idea to do is to keep track of your moods and see how that then corresponds to your cycle. So I am planning on starting to do that whenever my next cycle starts. So that's the only thing that is going to change in the next period with my bullet journal. I hope you like this video. Thanks for watching. Bye. Ba-dum, ba-dum, dum.